and build your community as you go, because depending on what stage you're at in your business or your project, etc., those people can really help you, which did for me, because not only were they my customers, they're your cheerleaders, and they root for you, and will share things for you. So then that one voice becomes 100 voices speaking on your behalf. So so important.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so did you set the time limit that for the crowdfund, and how long did it take you to get to like $5,000 and then 10 grand?
So this is a free tip that I said to people. So Crowdfunder, this is a gem. So Crowdfunder,
we love gems.
Crowdfunder had said that the average time, the most popular time frame to do a crowdfund is 30 days. They said that's like optimum time, because it's not too short, it's not too long. They said where it can get like 8 weeks, 10 weeks, people kind of start to lose interest. And there's always this pattern, and it happens regardless of time frame, where you've let people know that the crowdfund's live, you get some excitement, then there's a dip. I just called it the valley dip, where people know they exist. If they haven't pledged in the beginning, they might just forget about it. And then at the end, when they know there's a few days left, it kind of goes like that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to make it 35 days, and I'm going to make it cross 2 paydays.
Smart.
So I launched on the 1st of May, which was a Friday. People just got paid. So I'm like, I'm going to catch you there. And if I don't catch you there, I'm going to catch you at the start of June.
That is smart. Good.
I did it like that, which worked very well. So there's a gem. Frame it around paydays.
Yeah, good stuff.
Partnership is critical when you try to go for funding. For example, if you've got like 2 enterprises, one of them's got £300,000 turnover, the other one's got £300,000 turnover. If you apply separately, you're only eligible to get 50% of, that value of your turnover, meaning your maximum is going to be 150. However, if both of you come together in partnership, now we can draw down something which is like 600,000. We're saying the turnover is 600,000, meaning that now we can actually get 300,000 as opposed to 100. So what happens is that you're able to bid for higher amounts based on the partners that you've got. Sometimes you might have 4 partners and you're bidding for £3 million now. And that now can be divided, and you're then going to be getting greater than your turnover or equal to your turnover for the year based upon the partnership. And so the partners have to be very strong themselves, meaning that they must also have evidenced data of their interventions and must align to the same principles and pillars of your business itself. And once you begin to operate like that, that is when you'll begin to expand and move your grants from like the 50 grants to the over £100,000 type of grants that you can get, or even higher where you're bidding for, 750,000 or up to $1 million or more than $1 million.
Do you want to share any organizations who you have approached for funding? Or
definitely for any Black founders, Korea has a fresh fund that they do. Okay, they've got their fresh funds. If you are a Black founder, I know, is it Me 360 also has some funding available with the Base Bank. But that's more if you're in the creative industry. Hatch Enterprise also do pitching competitions where people can get some funding, and also have programs where you can apply for grant funding. So they're definitely out there.
Because number one, I'm paying rent. So every square foot of that shop is very expensive, and there is nothing that's worth £10 that's going to pay the rent. It just doesn't exist. That's number one. The second reason is that the amount of work required to sell an item for £10, I would much rather put that work towards selling an item for £100, which is about the same time it would take anyway, and get a bigger profit. And the final reason I gave him, so he's new. When you're a new business and you're not VAT registered, whatever you sell, so if you buy something for £5 and you sell it for £10, you've made a £5 profit and you keep all the profit. But if you're VAT registered, which you should be, hopefully, as you grow. And I say you should be because that is the trajectory of growth. You get to a threshold, you should grow to a point, aim to get to a point where you start paying VAT, and charging and paying VAT. And so if I'm selling, if he sells it to me for £5 and I sell it on for £10, I've made £5 profit, and I keep doing that. And then pretty soon I've hit the VAT threshold, which is, I think, just under £100,000 per annum. I've hit the VAT threshold, and I now have to take 20% of that and give it to the government. What would have been wiser would have been to think ahead of time that one day I am going to be VAT registered. I better put the 20% in now so I wouldn't have to raise my prices further down the line. Because what's going to happen is you're used to taking £5 and suddenly it jumps to £3, and suddenly it goes from £5 to £3. And so that's one area people struggle with a lot, is in the pricing, is not thinking ahead. What happens when I become VAT registered, and then what if this product I'm selling becomes so popular that other businesses also want to sell them, and I need to sell it to them. How much am I going to sell it to them for? I can't take something that I'm buying for £5 and sell it to you for, how much am I going to sell it to you for? What would you, so pricing, I think, is the biggest area that that small businesses, at least the ones I've come across, tend to make a mistake in, because there's just not enough on there. And then we have talked about overheads. In my case, where I've got a shop and I've got staffing and all of that, that's, so there is a lot, there's a lot of calculation that needs to go into the pricing, especially where retail is concerned.